So that's kind of what drives me to finish doing the things that I set out to do. Same thing, self, and the goals I got down the line. I read this quote a while ago. It was like, your dreams don't die. You just stop believing in them. So like, when you're 27, when you're 25 and you have this dream and you have these goals to do this thing, you're so hot and firing about it. This is what you're ambitious yourself to do. But then 29, like, just totally forgot about it. Like, you're not on that no more. Like, what happened? Like, what was the difference? Did it stop being a good idea, or did you just like lose fire because you got caught up with other things, and then you lose belief in it, and then you lose the drive to do it, and then now it's flaccid instead?
Look, hell of an intro. I tell you what you info, but I never really been the type of dude to give no info. But if you see your ends low and you trying to get a benzo, I'll give your ass some game that'll change the way that you think, bro. Super skilled with the pencil, super ill in my mental. I reminisce on life, I'm nice, here's my memento. Get it through your tempo, I get on any tempo and give it all I got. I'm hot, I got like 10 flows, trying to live on the 10th flow. Across from residentials that I own, my mind stayed grown. I used to think clothes, I really used to think hoes and what I do to get those. And then I switched it up, I'm only thinking potential. Yeah, like what you do, homie? What's your vision? How you thinking? How you move, homie? And is you cool, homie? You thinking building, then that's something we could do, homie.
Bada bing, bada boom. Yeah, you see a special face on here, guys. You guys know what time it is. It's episode 54. Episode 54. We have a guest for you guys because, we haven't been doing this a lot, and we're going to revamp this entire process for you guys. So if you guys see this, and if you're not watching this, don't forget we are on YouTube. So go ahead and check us out there as well. I know that most of you guys, seen us in the past year, just listen to our voices, but now you can see all of our beautiful faces. So go ahead, check us out on YouTube, Walking Girl. That is the channel. But yeah, let's go ahead and kick things off. If you don't have anything else to say, Francis.
No, I'm just excited to go through this, and Nyles is in the house today.
Super excited.
I got to meet you, a few years back, and it was like, I feel like we clicked right off the bat without even, a formal introduction, and that's because Ronnie was there to kind of facilitate that,
for sure,
that connection. So I'm excited to kind of dive deep and get to know you a bit more today, and kind of, I know you got some gems to drop on this, and some people can benefit from that. So
it's one or two, we'll see what goes.
So let's get to it,
Yeah, appreciate you, Nyles, for taking the time to be with us today. If you guys don't know, I'll make a small introduction here. This is the guy that knows a little bit of my dark secrets and knows the younger me. So if you guys want to know something more, you could try to go ahead and reach out to him. I don't know if you'll catch him, but you can try your best.
Yeah, I'll let go all this man secrets. I got no problem.
I'll backfire right back, so be careful now. But great guy. It's like my great friend, honestly. I've met him through another friend, which you guys will meet at some point in time when the time is right,
Yeah, I ain't have my boy on here.
Not yet. Slowly but surely. We're gonna get there. But yeah, appreciate you again for being here. I'm just curious to hear from yourself. Like, did I miss out on anything that you want the people to know about, a little bit about yourself?
Specifically, no. I mean, I ain't saying nothing about me yet, but I mean, I can't just dive into who I am or what I do. It's not important right now. We'll scan over that as the time goes. I got a question for y'all.
Oh, you gonna get into the question right in the beginning? Let's get to it.
Yes, it's y'all podcast. I'm Mr. Stranger. So I was watching one of y'all podcasts in the past, one of your last ones, and I think it was y'all were talking about how y'all subject matter was whether or not you care about what people think about you, or when did you stop caring about what people thought about you. Which I thought was, a basic question, very, very, but the answers was interesting. So like, I know Francis is more on the side of like, it's something he's recently just kind of tried to chill with, or not recently, but like you kind of figured it out as far as not caring as much, as to where Mr. Ronell over here was like, care about what people think. I ain't did that since I was like 11. So I was curious. Like, you know,
What do you cares about?
I just want to delve into the subject one more time. I mean, if y'all got a subject matter y'all want to book, don't let me derail the whole thing. But it's just you have to think about listening to podcasts that are your friends' podcasts is because like when I'm listening to strangers, I'm just listening. But when it's my boys, it's like I want to hop into this, but I can't. But now I can't because I'm
Yeah, you get it. Here's your opportunity.
Yeah.
So Rana, you tell me. Go ahead, friend.
No, I was just gonna open up the floor and say this is your first podcast, so it's like it sounds like you've done this before, but just for the audience, this is your first podcast and you're jumping right into it, and I like that. So we could dive into that topic a bit more and talk about it. Ron, I don't know if you want to address your side and kind of back your answer. Or, I still stick to my answer. It's pretty, I was that guy, and now it's like you get to learn more about yourself and discover some of the things that you need to change and how you view yourself 100%. In regard to others.
I'll stick to mine as well. I never really cared, man. I mean, I was always doing my own thing. All the way. I mean, even still to this day, all my decisions. Yes, of course, there's some influence along the way. But most of my decisions is literally what I wanted and kind of what I saw within myself. So, and not really care what the consequences came with it. I'm curious. I feel like you have something to say on that. That's why you're targeting that question specifically.
So it's not to say it against you, because you for sure are probably, if I could think of one person in this world that doesn't care about what people think, you'd probably be number one on that list, 1,000%. But my perception of it is like I'm the type of person where I always get pushback to this question. I have this discussion with my wife all the time. But like as far as people that say they don't care about, my boy is in the upstairs apartment. Let me close.
No worries. Do you think? Handle your business. We'll keep it going while you're
The reason why I'm in my downstairs apartment is because I didn't want that to happen. Just yelling to the door, but it's cool. The door's closing.
It's all good. Let him be. You should have made a special appearance, man.
I love pop
Come
up.
Come on, man.
On the next one. So I always get pushed back to that statement. I don't care about what people think of me because I believe that it's only natural that everybody cares about what some people think. That not the extent of it could be different. But I feel like public opinion is important to anybody. So it's like, you wouldn't run outside. So it's like, if you were the only person on the planet, like everybody died, apocalypse, you are Will Smith from Iron Man. You're the only man on the planet.
Yeah.
Do you still...
Yeah, I mean,
do you still wear clothes when you go outside?
No, I mean, yes. I mean, I still go to day-to-day duties. I mean, I still do the regular things of life because it's just me, but I'm not going to just deviate from what I've been doing for so long just because everything around me changed. That has nothing to do with me. I mean, I'm still here. I still got to go with the day-to-days of my life. So, I mean, nothing in my opinion changes. I see what you're saying though. A lot of people use the perception of the public. They need public validation. Honestly, what everyone really needs, and this is me speaking based off of what I do, and I think kind of what is important for everyone. I think everyone needs to look in the mirror and speak to that person and get validation from that person before seeking from anybody else, because you should know you better than anyone else, and the only person that can validate anything is you. So that's why that's where that mindset of not really caring with anybody. Because again, who is somebody going to tell me yes or no, or I can do something? I'll show you if I can and if I can't.
That's very true. I think people are starting to come to the realization more of what is happening to them, like how much they care about validation from other people, especially with like Instagram and social media. So people are coming to terms with it more, and it's something they're trying to work on more. But I don't think anybody has it down pat where they just don't care at all about what other people think.
That's an interesting point that you bring. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna tap too much into the example that you use, just because I feel like because of public knowledge and public perception, we now know the value of having clothes on. It's kind of, it changed that aspect of whether or not you go outside, naked. But to get back to the root of the question here, for me, I look at it from this perspective. It starts at home, right? You grow up, having that validation from your parents, right? It's like the metrics that you go based off of. When you do something well,
Yeah.
they clap for you. When you do something bad, they're there to remind you that you did something wrong. It's not necessarily that, that's what you must do, but it's a metric that you're using to kind of, see where you are on your own journey, on your own path. Some people take it to the extreme where it becomes, something that they seek, for the long haul. Like for myself, for example, not having both parents for most of my time, it's like, you didn't have the metric. The metric wasn't there. So I was making my own metric by seeking that validation through friends. But you come to a point and realize that, hey, at the end of the day, you were born by yourself, you're going to die by yourself. So those decisions that you're making ultimately come down to you. Unless we were born at the same time, came out, together, it's one of those things where, yes, your opinion may be valid or is valid, but it's a metric for me to kind of see, okay, where am I? How am I doing? Because there are people that have been here way before us and kind of paved the way for us to be here. And it's like, you got to remember that as well.
Yeah, that's true. It's 100%.
I'm curious
Yeah.
now. Do you care so much about public validation? I don't know if you mentioned this already.
I do. Absolutely, I do. And it's not a pro. It's definitely a con. Well, I won't say
Well,
that.
Let me see what kind of hat you got on.
Sherwin-Williams. See, it's nothing crazy.
Okay,
It's
okay.
it's a hat from my old job. Free hat. No Supreme, bro. I put on.
That's
no
what I was
Supreme
getting ready to do.
for a reason. So I won't say that it's a total con. See, the thing about me is that I'm very self-aware of the fact that I care too much about people think. And over the years, I think I kind of just grew up in a space where it's like I had something to prove. And so growing up, I'd say from high school on, I just always felt like I had to prove myself to the world, whether it was this or whether it was that. And so that's obviously it's not healthy, and it's not the best way to have drive or to be inspired. But if I'm being honest, I would have a third of the things that I have and the accomplishments that I've done if I didn't have the mindset of I need to prove this thing. I need to prove myself to people. And so like my car that I got 4 years ago, my dream Mercedes, and then my job of, just the job that I have now. And when I went and I got my master's, and when I bought this house, like all of these things, not gonna lie, this is me being totally transparent. It wasn't like part of it was I want to do this to better myself, but also part of it was I'm gonna show these niggas.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it says. Be it completely, I truly don't. Like, I truly don't. But for whatever reason, growing up, like, and I ain't been to therapy to know this, but I watch a lot of podcasts. But I was stunned in some way where I felt the need that I wasn't good enough. So I needed to prove myself through things, through objects, through, accomplishments. And I mean, because of that mentality, it's gotten me a lot. It's fortuned me a lot. And so I'm not going to say it's a total bad thing. It is something I'm working on, but nevertheless, it got me this far.
So if I get
How
you,
was
if I understand what
your-
you're saying, you've used that perspective to fuel you through the years. Like it's not necessarily that you were trying to, like, it built your character along the way. Is that
Fuel.
correct?
Definitely fuel.
Gotcha.
That I'm gonna achieve this, and all right, now I have this goal. I'm gonna do this. And I'm gonna do this, and when I do this, like these niggas gotta know. Like when I do this, like, I'm on these niggas' heads, type shit. You feel me? And so that's kind of just how I move. And of course, all these things benefit me. So like, I'm happy to have it, and I want to do it for myself as well. But still, it was like, I'm gonna show the world this.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
Yeah.
And so I am intrigued at the person who doesn't live through that, who doesn't, they're not trying to prove nothing to nobody. They just want to be successful for them. I mean, if that's not the case, then who gives a fuck? Like, fucking make $40,000 a year, live in an apartment, just as long as you can gives a fuck, right?
Yeah.
Why
I think
do
I think the real goal is, are you trying to satisfy, who are you trying to satisfy? I think that's really the big question. You're trying to satisfy others before yourself. I think that's when it becomes a big question mark. And
Yeah.
it could be a major con. However, if, like myself, I don't really care about public opinion. Cool, you have an opinion, that's great. That's your life. Operate the way you want to operate. I'm
Yeah.
gonna do what I have to do. However, I have goals set for myself at the same time, and I have a standard of how I desire for generations that come after me live. I personally believe that every generation is supposed to get better. And so that's where that goal of that mindset of, I don't really care what goes on outside of me, because I understand that every generation is supposed to be better. So how is it that we can accomplish that so that that gets done? Successful,
Yeah.
I don't care how much money comes in, how much money flows out. That doesn't really concern me. It's, did I do my part for this generation after me to be in a better position so that they don't experience half of the battle that we experience? Because as you know, my parents are not from here. They did their part. They got us to America so that we
Yeah.
can live that dream.
And
Same for Francis.
Right. And same for me. So it's like, I still feel like I have part of that in me because, bro, so I have my mom, I have my dad. My mom, she drove a Benz, and her father drove a Benz, and her sister drove a Benz. And,
Yeah.
my mom, she struggled. Like, she came to this country, and she ain't had much. And her and my father they was broke when they had us, and we sleeping in a 1-bedroom apartment, me and my sister and them too. But like, she just kept escalating to a point where, now she drives a Benz, she has a house, she's done well for herself. And then, but like, growing up, she had these things. And then my father, I literally grew up taking the bus with my father all over Bridgeport, walking all over Bridgeport, bro. I was fucking 7 years old. My legs is this long, and I was walking from the east side to the north end. I'm talking like hour and a half walks from point A.
Wow.
That's just how my dad was. Like, we would go from point A to point B, and we would get there by any means if he never had a car. So him, me, and my sister, like, we walked all over Bridgeport our whole like childhood.
Okay.
And so I think what it was, it's just like, I saw what my father didn't have. And people who live in the projects, that's all they know, that's all they see, so that's all they're equipped with. So they grow up and like, this is all they got, so they kind of stay in that hole. Adds to where I had my father who was like that, bro, down bad, busted, love him. But then I had my mom, and my mom's side of the family who like my grandfather, he had a very nice house in Mount Vernon. So like, I had that side to see what could be, like what was possible. And so I think having that balance kind of just, I saw what I didn't want, and I saw what was possible, so I was able to go for it.
Gotcha.
And so I think that also was like part of what it, inspired me.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna add like just one point to what you mentioned. Like, we were talking about that fuel that got you going, and Ron said, you have a completely different fuel, and I think it really comes down to that. Like, we're all the engine of our own life. And whatever fuels you, it's up to you to see which direction you want to take it. Some people take it, they'll take the right path, and some people take the left path. Like, I'm just thinking of a couple of examples that comes to mind. There's a waitress that I met a while back, and her fuel in life was the fact that her cousin died from a heart condition, right? So that was what was driving her to go through school, to push herself to become a doctor so she can solve situation of that matter. Of that kind, because that was her drive. And you think of somebody who has, lost his brother to gun violence or cancer and decide to go through, life trying to combat that. So it's really, we're all engine of our own life, and whatever fuels you, as long as you're using it for the right, reason, according to your principle, I think you're doing something fine. You're doing something great. That's kind of how I see it. But I get your point. I get that perspective, that opinion is important in a certain way, because like, just think about it. If today Ronnie was, yes, he didn't care about our opinion, but we call him out on something, I'm guarantee you it's gonna resonate with him to a certain extent.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make a correction now that you said that. Thank you for saying that, because if the people close to me make an opinion or a suggestion or a recommendation, I'm gonna listen and I'm gonna hear them out. I'm not
How old were
blocking
you when
that
you
out.
figured out how to do that? Were you always
Bruh.
like that?
I'm a
Able to take
I'm a
criticism?
stubborn guy, man. I'm a stubborn guy.
Yeah.
So it's I think I've always had it in me, but now I've started to filter, and I'm still learning to this day, yeah, how to filter what matters and what doesn't matter, and who to listen to, who not to listen to. And I think I've been able to boil it down to, if you lead by example, I'll shut up and I'll listen. But if you don't lead by example, I really don't care what you have to say.
Don't want to hear it.
It's just that simple. That's kind of how
Yeah.
I'm boiling it down. Now, I could probably have a terrible mathematic equation that I'm putting together right now, sharing with you all, but that's what works for me. So if that doesn't work for you, please don't use it. You find what works for you and operate at that magnitude. But I want to touch upon, I don't know if were you done, Francis, before I cut you off real quick?
Yeah, that was good. Yeah.
Okay, I do want to touch on what you mentioned there, because you shared a little bit about your childhood. Do you think your childhood had anything to do with the way that you are now?
Yeah. Has everything to do with everything. Those built-in traumas that you're not aware of, it's the rolling stone for why you are the way you are. But specifically, like anything about my childhood or why I am a specific way.
Well, no, just the mindset that the thought process that we were talking about right now, which is, not caring what people think.
Honestly, so, bro, short man to short man, right? Again, full transparency. I honestly think, like, when I think about this, I think about what's the first time in life where I might have felt lesser than, I felt like I had to prove myself. It honestly was probably when being short growing up was probably like, I think it kind of all boils back down to that. But I could tell you when I realized I'm short. So for those who don't know me, I am 5'4". So growing up, I realized I was short 7th grade. We was in line after recess. We was drinking water from the water fountain. She was like, all right, all the boys go get water now. So we at the water fountain, we drinking and shit. I chopping it up with the guys. And I realized, I was like, yo, why are these dudes taller than me? And that's when I realized my growth had started to be stunning. So, Francis, you wouldn't relate because I know you like 6'4", 6'5", something like that. But like, as minuscule of a thing it may seem to be now, when you have to grow up and be a kid from 8 to all throughout high school, and you are just like short, like that's something that it's a complex that you have to like get over. And, it's just like, it's something that's ongoing. And so eventually, of course, now I'm 27. So like, I don't have a problem being short now. I'm great. But it was that, I think that was probably the first thing where it's like, so going from there, like I always felt the need to like prove myself. I always felt the need to be like, I was being judged. And so I could prove myself because it was around me. But I mean, again, I promise you never growing up where I was like, yo, I'm short, I need to get a Mercedes. I swear to God, that's not the case. But this is just me thinking like introspectively, where I was like, you know what? That's really the first time like when I felt like lesser than, I felt like I actually need to like prove myself. And that's kind of probably where all of that is embedded in. Probably. Like if I was 6'4", I wouldn't go to the gym for the last 9 years. I probably wouldn't drive the car I drive. I probably wouldn't wear the cool clothes. A lot of these things just wouldn't have been on my radar because I didn't feel, the reason to. Honestly. But again, I don't go out buying clothes and being like, I need to wear Supreme because I'm only 5'4". Like that was never the case. But I think in the back of my head, if I was to talk to a therapist, she'd probably tell me that more or less.
I've gotten made fun of by my height, because again, I'm not tall, so I've definitely got made fun of. And growing up, I was kind of a bully, so That
Yo,
didn't
same. That's how you get through it, yo. That's how you get through it. And you either gotta be at the bottom of the food chain or the top.
Yeah.
With the cook is, and I was just, a jerk.
Oh man. Good times.
But yeah, that's how I feel like my childhood actually like affected the way I am now, more or less.
Mm.
In that aspect, at least, there's a lot of childhood stuff that I could speak on, but
Do you feel as though you overcome, most of the, I guess, trauma and challenges that were impacting you back then? We talked about how it was fueling you to move forward, but now that you're kind of aware of that and even comfortable talking about it, do you feel as though you've overcome most of them or all of them?
nah. I mean, I can't sit and think of like specific traumas that are still bothering me and that still like play a part in my everyday life. But I'm sure there's still a thing. I still behave in certain manners that like probably improve on. And they probably all play down to from childhood traumas and stuff like that. But there's still things that I'm working on for sure. But
Gotcha.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I know it's an ongoing topic nowadays. We constantly talk about it. In the past, even as men, here you have three men talking about childhood trauma. It was something
Three
that was
black
not
men.
really exactly. It was something that was not really brought to the table often. We would deviate the topic and talk about anything else but that situation. So the fact that we're even comfortable bringing that up, I see that as progress. And I always encourage people to do that, more of that, because otherwise we get to live with these, with these situation and cooked up, and it's hard to move forward and be, of added value to other people, or even be who you want to be. So that's why I asked that question, just as a little.
So now sitting here thinking about it, I haven't been answer to it. So I don't know about y'all. I met Ronnie's mom. I've never met your mom, your parents, Francis. So I don't know like how they are. I haven't met at all.
Many times.
Many times. So my father is a very subtle, very chill guy. Amazing dude. Love my father. My mom, she is a very high achieving woman, very opinionated, very strong. She's 4'11". She's where I get my height from. So she's just one of those short, strong women. She is the lady that like I had like distinct memory of like 2001 where we were at the car wash and her car got finished and she went inside and the dash wasn't like spotless because they didn't do all the extra stuff they were supposed to do. So she gets out the car, she's just like blaming the whole car wash. And then the owner comes out and he details the car. But me, I'm like me and my sister, we're in the background just like scared and just like, yo, she's going off again. Because that's just how my mom was. So she's loud, she's a tyrant, and she gets what she wants because she don't let nobody jerk her around. So growing up with her mom like that, she was also that way with us, her kids. And she's aware of all of this now too as well. But like, if you have a mom that's so overly outspoken, it's very easy for them to, we was used to get shut down. Like we was used to like, my mom was the type where like growing up, she told us 5 different times that we would get allowances, that stuff you see on TV. And so she would be like, all right, you guys need allowance, I'm gonna give you this much this week. The week would come up, we'd be like, hey mom, like, remember you said that, give us that, and then she flipped. They'll get on my face, like, mom, she's talking about that one more time. And so, you become very like you become very, very reserved as kids, and you start to like, you don't want to be, you become very non-confrontational. And if you don't like competition, you don't like get into it with people, you become very reserved. So that is something that for sure I grew up that way. And it's something that I've been working back for like the last 5 years, I want to say, where my mom's aware that she did that to us. She wasn't aware at the time. She was young, but now she knows that her brashness, it built us to be very like subtle and hard. Like we don't give a lot of pushback. And so it's something I've noticed, and so it's something that I've worked towards because I'm a manager. Like at my job I have 300 indirect reports, and I've been a manager for like the last 5-7 years of my life. I have a family, I have I'm a landlord, like I have tenants. So that behavior of being subtle, letting people roll on you, it's really just not something that you could, it doesn't work, it doesn't add up. And so over the years, every single situation I get, I take it as like whenever I get into it or whenever I'm in an uncomfortable situation or I'm like, and I'm gonna have to just put my chest out. I take it as like a lesson. Like, all right, here we go. This is just gonna bring me closer to be, the outspoken person I need to be. So that is kind of that's something that I'm definitely still actively working on.
Gotcha.
Now, you mentioned that you're still working on some certain things there. Do you have someone that has some sort of influence over your life?
My every day,
Yep.
like my wife.
Yep. Well, personal, it could be, a celeb, it could be an influencer. It's just someone that I wouldn't necessarily cater it to anything specific, but just someone that you possibly look up to or just influence your life in general. I'm thinking of somebody. I'm surprised you didn't say him already.
Yeah, I'm not thinking about nobody. Who you thinking about?
Tyler. No?
Tyler, I figured. So that's close on him. Of course, I'm not trying to bury my life to how that boy lives, but yeah, true. Cool guy. Cool, respectable dude with nice notions and thought processes. So to an extent.
But besides that, would you say there's anybody else or no?
Nah, my life truly is not tailored. I don't know anybody that's like me. I don't know anybody that's at where I'm at, and so I don't really have particular people to look toward as far as what I'm trying to do with my life and where I'm trying to progress to. But wrong. I kind of just go and I set goals. I hope for the best and I just attack it. And I think about it every day. I keep it in the front of my lobe, and that's how I kind of just how I live my day to day in hopes that I achieve these things. Also, a fear of failing and not doing it. Because last thing in 4 years, I want to be like, damn, I was going to do the same. And look at me, never did it.
Gotcha.
So then, what
do you
keeps
have
you
like
motivated?
principle that? Right, I was just gonna go with that. Like, do you have principle that kind of keep you aligned and keep you going with with the way you do things, or you just kind of like, we'll see what the day brings and go with it.
As far as what I'm trying to achieve, like my goals,
Yeah.
like what keeps it going is like the thought of me setting out to do something and then not finishing it and feeling like a failure,
Gotcha.
or just proving people right. I just feel like I'm just proving people right if I don't achieve this thing. So when I was getting my master's 2-3 years ago, if you would have told me when I graduated college that one day I would have my master's, I would have told you, wow, there's a 3% chance that I get my master's. I'm not into it. I'm not looking to do it. And also, I'm not that type of student. I don't really know what my GPA was when I was finished my bachelor's, but that's not me. I'm not that guy. But then down the line, I worked at Sherwin, and they had a tuition reimbursement where they would pay for half of it. Still wasn't really into it. But then in 2018, things kind of changed, and I was just like, you know what? I need to prove to myself that I can do this thing. And I'm not just living for other people, but I can achieve this goal. I'm gonna try to get my master's. Let's see what happens. I remember when I first called, when I was calling around schools to kind of see, how the process went. I was literally I was hoping myself for better use of terminology, but it was very nerve wracking. I just didn't think that down the line it was gonna happen. I just pushed myself, and what kept me doing my master's for 2 years was just the thought process of but if I don't finish, then what does that mean? Who am I if I don't finish? I'm a failure. I'm giving up. I'm a giving upper. So that's kind of what drives me to finish doing the things that I set out to do. Same thing, self, and the goals I got down the line. I read this quote a while ago. It was your dreams don't die. You just stop believing in them. So when you're 27, when you're 25 and you have the dream and you have these goals to do this thing, you're so hot and firing about it. This is what you're ambitious yourself to do. But then 29, totally forgot about it, like you're not on that no more. Like what happened? Like what was the difference? Did it stop being a good idea, or did you just like lose fire because you got caught up with other things, and then you lose belief in it, and then you lose the drive to do it, and then now it's flaccid instead. So now I'm very cognizant of that, and I try to keep. That's why I think about things every day. I just try to keep the fire going. So
Gotcha.
Yeah, no, excuse me. We actually have our last episode is a really good episode that you should definitely, if you haven't listened to it already, go ahead and tap into that, because it's literally talking about failure, and I think that's right along the lines of what you're kind of mentioning already. But I do want to mention that although that you find yourself going through failure, or not, I shouldn't say going through it, that you avoid it. Would you say that you fear it? Fear failing?
uh, I don't know, because there's not a lot of things for me to fail at. I mean, so like, for instance, my next goal is to buy another house. Do I fear failing at that goal? Absolutely. Like, if I still don't have another house in the next 3 years, I'm going to feel like I failed. I'm going to feel like I didn't follow through on my goal. But like, I don't know. I guess on like a task to task goal. So, Ron, I was telling you earlier, I evicted my tenants out this apartment in March of 2022. It is now February of 2023. By the time I get downstairs, it's going to have been a whole year, 12 months of mortgage payments that I didn't have tenants in here for. And so, did I fear failing in the process of that eviction process that took 6 months long? The process of finding contractors to do this house. I went through probably 4 or 5 contractors. The planning, the processing, like having to have these dudes come and do this and, really stay on their necks about it, have all those uncomfortable conversations I was just telling y'all about, all those confrontational moments that I had to have with them, because you can't let people roll on you or else not gonna get nowhere in life. So, every failure is a lesson, genuinely. Like I spent 11 months trying to get this thing going. There's a lot of failure in that, but it's what got me here. And so now and down the line, all those failures just lead to a new lesson, a new thing I learned, and I just move different. Bro, I came home yesterday from work. I got a summons from my last tenant. And I was so nice to this lady. Like I did so much things I shouldn't have done. I went out my way so many times. I gave them stupid amount of chances about so many things. Red flags just popping from the second month that I lived here. Red flags, red flags, red flags. And I just let things slide, let things go, but she paid rent. But like I was extremely nice to her for like a lot of different reasons. But on the back end, here I am getting sued because she slipped in her hurt. So, and she's not hurt, like she's fine, but like she just chasing the bag. So now I got to stand in that. Those are the type of failures that it happens. I failed, and now I learn from it. My number one quote that I say all the time was like, "You live and you learn." And boy, I be living, I be taking L's and I be learning.
Yeah, it sounds like you faced quite a few challenges yourself, and you're learning from it. I just want to kind of revert the ball back a bit and focus a bit more on you, before we tap into the challenges. We talked about how I got to meet you, and who is now, right, in terms of like what helps you keep the lights on, to be able to even do what you're doing right now, because you're talking about getting a second house. What are some of the the things that have helped you even get where you are, and what are you doing now, basically? This is more for the audience, because I already know what what you're into. I mean, it's more for somebody, if they don't know you, like they're like, okay, why am I listening to this guy, right? So kind of break it down for us in a way. Okay, who is Nyles now? We kind of talk a bit about some of the challenges that you're faced. We talked about your past and the trauma and the family dynamic. But now the Nyles that we're having conversation with, what is he all about, and what is he even doing for work these days?
So I my name is Nyles, I am somebody. I'm 27, and I'm someone who I never saw myself as, I wasn't the top achiever of my friend group, my peers. I wasn't like the most successful. I wasn't the smartest. I wasn't the one of the level one classes. Like, but I've just achieved some things. I have a master's. I'm an operations manager. I make six figures, not for brag, but that's who I am. That's kind of, I bought this house back in 2020 February, um, like a month before the pandemic popped off. Oh, and I did all these things, not knowing that I was capable of it. If you asked me when I was 20 whether or not I'd have a house before 30, I would have said no. You would ask me if I had my master's, I would have said no. If you would ask me if I was making six figures, I would have said absolutely not. But I am the type of person where I realized, not when I was like 20, 21, that if you set a goal, all you have to do is set a goal and then actively work towards that goal every day. Nothing crazy. You don't have to actually like put pen to paper every day on a specific goal, but just like having it in your head and moving and thinking about it every day. That's how you achieve goals. And so I'm kind of just someone that figured that out back when I was like 23. And it's a formula that's worked out great for me. I have a beautiful wife and I have an amazing 2-year-old son, and they're cool. What am I missing, Francis? What else do I know? I went to Southern.
No, shout out. I just want to say shout out to the wifey. I'm sure she keeps you grounded somehow.
She is.
Yeah,
She's so.
definitely.
Yeah, she's the type that she's the person that yells at people when I'm not, in a position to. When I'm like being overly nice, too nice, she's like that little pit bull or big pit bull that go and she run. She does the attacking when I'm, just out here being too gentle. Yeah. So she keeps her grounded. She handles things that she keeps home, situated. And yeah, that's me. I'm just a little excessive. It's hard to be very braggadocious. I'm a very braggadocious person, but I'm trying to tone it down for you guys. 'Cause I don't want to be.
I know one of the words Ron will use in this case is trailblazer. You were able to overcome some of the challenges that you face, and I know you didn't go through that journey on your own. You probably had some people that were, holding you accountable and kind of keeping you in check and things of that nature. And that will kind of lead me to my next question. Like, how did your surrounding, your friends kind of impact, your journey?
That's the question. How do my friends help impact my journey?
I love it when people take pauses and just think. I just love it. I just had to make that.
It's a valid question, bro. So I'm moving down a timeline, a timeline of my 20s, and where my friends played a part in my actual successes, like the actual things that I've achieved, like where my friends fit into that. It'd be crazy to say if they did it. That's kind of fucked. But so I'll say like this. What am I? I'm 27. So I would say everything I achieved up to like 25. I kind of did it on my own. Like I told you, like I wanted to do this, I wanted to do that, so I just, and a lot of things, the way I move, I wasn't one to share. Like I don't tell people what I'm about to do because like I told you earlier, I don't want to feel like a failure. So if I decide to back out on that, like I don't need the whole world, but also morally so, I don't like outside opinions. Like when I went to buy this house, nobody knew. My own mother didn't know, which looking down the line was problematic. But like I told her, she's a very barky bark woman. So her opinions, they're very shadowing. And so I'm the type of person where I just don't care any.
Yeah.
Yeah. So up until I was like 25, I didn't share much with a lot of people. And then when I was like 25, 24, and correct me if I'm wrong, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, we started HOB. Ron started HOB. So I'm sure y'all talked about this on here before.
No. You spelling, we lost you, but he's spelling real beans there.
Okay.
So no, but no, yeah, he's spilling real beans there. If you're interested, you want more information, you just reach out to us, and we'll see what happens. But no, those are real beans there that you're spilling.
All right.
But yes, it was 3 years ago not to be exact, but it's about 2 to 3 years ago.
At a certain point, at a certain point, I got involved with people that were driven in a certain way and wanted certain things, and so I kind of saw what I moved the goalpost forward, and I elevated the bar for like what I was trying to achieve, what I was trying to do, and so I would say that is what led me to the whole 6 figures aspect. Like 2 years ago, a year ago, I don't know, people are still concerned about it, but making 6 figures, like that was a goal, like that's what they were trying to do, and I was part of that. And so like when I finished with my master's in 2021, my goal 2022, my goal was to now make 6 figures, even though at the time I was making 60 grand, a year, but like I was trying to double that. It's very, very young. It doesn't happen every day. But because of the group of people and because of the friends that I was surrounded with, the people that, were driving me and what I saw in front of me, I said, no, I could do this thing. And so I kind of just moved, and I aimed for certain things, and I had certain goals, and I elevated those, and I achieved it. And so I would say now that if it wasn't for my friends, I wouldn't be in the job position that I'm in right now. They're very influential in that aspect.
And if I'm not mistaken, I don't want to kind of devalue anything you just mentioned there, but are you anybody special to the entire world? As in, okay, let me rephrase that.
All right, go ahead.
Are you a celebrity? Are you someone that has achieved already the masses of the things that you want to do already?
No.
Okay, so no. I'm really saying that just to kind of shed a light with the audience, the people that are watching, listening, of that nature. It doesn't take you to be at your highest point to get things done. It's all about what you do to get things done while you're trying to get it done at the same time. Now, as he mentioned here, all he did was surround himself around a good group of people that helped him elevate himself. Now, it may not take that group of people for yourself. It could be something as small as just talking to one person, or it could be as small as just getting dialed into what it is that you're trying to do. But as you can see, it doesn't matter where you are on the spectrum of life. I don't care if you have the most money in the world or the least amount of money in the world. All it takes is mainly a group of people around you that can motivate you, push you, and make you see things a little bit differently. Because if you leave it up to yourself, you can probably still get it done, but it might take you a little bit longer just to get it done.
Yeah, if there's one single thing that I would want people to know and move with, is that you are nobody special. Is that what you meant? That is what you meant. I'm nobody special. I truly am not anybody special. And if you asked me 5 years ago if I would have this, if I would have that, would I achieve this, I would have told you no. If you asked me 5 years ago what my plan was, I would have told you I don't know. When I left college, my bachelor's, I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. When I finished up my master's, I didn't have a plan. I mean, by the time I finished my master's, I kind of knew, management was a good role for me. And I wanted to continue managing people and leading people because I'm a good leader. But like, if you asked me when I finished my senior year of college, what was next, I did not know. I don't know. Didn't know. I didn't have all these things written down in a notepad. I just moved through them now, just checking things off my list. It's just like, you don't have to have everything planned out. You don't have to be the smartest person. You don't have to be the best person. You kind of just got to believe in what you want to do and move accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
And you mentioned you're in a management role, and prior to that, you didn't even know you wanted to be in that kind of role, that position. What for anyone that's listening is thinking about being in that role or being in that position as well? Is there anything that stood out to you that said, "Hey, this looks pleasing, and this looks at least something that I would want to do"?
yeah. When I was like 19, I started working at a retail store, Uniqlo, and I kind of just I was getting promoted and like elevated up the ranks because they thought that I was a hard worker and I was good at meeting people, and they noticed that before I noticed that. Like, I didn't
That-
know that's who I was when I was 19 years old. When I finished high school, I didn't know I was a leader. I didn't think of myself as one. I mean, maybe in my friend groups, but like I didn't think that I can manage people. But my job noticed that, and then it kind of just put a seed in my head. When I went to college, that's what I majored. Um, so the job that I'm at now, the job before this, I was a manager. The job before that, I was a supervisor. The job I'm at now, I'm an operations manager. So I manage 3 departments, and under those 3 departments is 300 people, 350 people. And like when I've told Ron this a bunch of times, you too, Francis, like when I work the night shift. So when I'm at my building, my Amazon fulfillment center, there's 1,000 people on site, 1,500 people on site, and I am the highest rate person in that building. If anything happens, I am responsible. And like that's not a role that I would have ever expected to be in 2 years ago. But it's something that I know that I can handle now, and I know it's fitting for me. But like when I went for this job, I didn't know what it was. I saw operations manager. I was like, I want to be in management, and I want to manage operations. I don't want to be in retail. I don't have to sell things, but operations, I would love to manage that. That's what I'm trying to go for. So I went for an operations position. I didn't know operation manager at Amazon meant be this high up. And so the interview process, I interviewed with 5 people, one after one after one after one, an hour, an hour, an hour, an hour. I had to write a 2-page essay. I had to do this intricate math equation, and it was a lot. But when I got the job, I was nervous, and it took me like a year to actually, feel like I was comfortable in the job. But now I'm doing what I love to do, like manage people, lead people. And I'm not the smartest person in the building. Like all these things I'm telling y'all, I still struggle with that now. I have a team under me where 75% of my team are smarter than me. Like these kids went to Berkeley. They're little geniuses. Their brains are wild. Y'all know Pootie. I'm working with a bunch of Pooties and I'm telling them what to do. And like sometimes it truly is like it's a little overwhelming. But what I tell them and what they know me for is I may not be able to like improve you on the operations aspect because all of y'all already know more than that I do, but I can support you. I can help support you and I can help lead you. So like at my job, we have to have a one-on-one every month with our managers and my managers. And so when I sit down with them, I'm not talking about their rates, their numbers, where they need to improve. I just sit down and I have conversations for an hour, hour and a half with them on just like, how are they doing? I help lead them, I help them be better managers, how to manage people better, how to lead people better, what they need to fix. And that's kind of my whole schema. That's what I do. And I'm good.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I'm sure it's going to empower somebody else who, does see themselves in a position where they don't know if they want to try and jump into this pool and learn how to swim into a completely new position. And the fact that you took that courage, yeah. Well said.
Just jump off the porch, bro.
Yeah, I heard in the interview not too long ago. I'm actually still watching it, and Dame Dash said, it's actually Dame Dash interview. He said, "Live life for good memories," and I was just like, "What do you mean?" And then he dived a little bit deeper into it, and he says, "Do you know what heaven?" And this is not a question I'm asking you guys, but he said he was asking the other individuals, "Do you know what heaven is like?" And the other individual kind of said a few things, and he was like, "Well, I'm trying to live my heaven on earth." So when he said that, I was like, interesting. I've never thought about that in a million years, because we all don't know what death is like. We all do not know. So his way of saying, hey, just live those good memories out now while you're here. just kind of take that image of what you believe that heaven is like and just put it into the world now today. And so if that means going out there and doing something that you didn't ever expect yourself to do, or you don't want to do, or better yet, you're just scared to do it, this might be the time to do it.
Yeah,
You don't know what can come from it.
Truly.
Well, that's kind of, I'm glad that you came on the show and share your perspective. This is, what we're looking for. I applaud you for even taking the time to be here with us, because I know how, you got family going on. You got to get ready for work and stuff like that. So it's good that you took this time, and I'm sure, if we have had any impact on you, down the line, feel free to, let us know. If there's anybody that you want to recommend to, be able to share their story as well, whether it's from Amazon or somebody that just had a huge impact on your life that you feel as though should, have a voice here. This is a platform for everybody to come through and just express themselves and let, empower others. That's really what we're looking for.
Yeah. And if I can ask you one last question before we wrap up, what do you think is the number one thing holding people back from reaching their full potential?
Analysis paralysis. People think that they need to know everything about a thing before they do the thing. People know what they want, but they don't know how to get there, so they don't start. And I am a fine example of someone that I like to think of I don't know that much about a lot of things. And I socialize and talk to a lot of people who are professionals in a lot of different aspects. I find Francis to be a very smart person. Ryan to be a very smart person. These niggas be knowing stuff. And the rest of our friends are kind of the same. They be knowing stuff.
Kind of, bruh.
Hey, like, we got people that just be knowing stuff, and they're tapped into things. They're in tune with things. And so it's just like, it's very easy for me to feel, it's very easy to feel like I'm not ready to do this thing, or out of place, or just like not ready to do something.
Gotcha.
But the reason, again, why I have accomplished the things I have is because I haven't been afraid to just do the thing and then see what happens. And jumping off the porch and just delving into things and hoping that I land on my feet. And honestly, I've made things work. And so if you just do the thing, you will probably figure it out. If you have enough drive, if you have enough, reason to do it, on your way to, tripping over yourself and failing a lot, you'll figure it out. You'll probably end up where you want to be. A lot of people, like, they get so caught up and like, all right, I gotta get this, and that right before I try this thing. I bought this house knowing 20% of what Ron knows about houses, what Wayne knows about houses. But I linked up with a realtor that knew something. I had a little bit of money. I knew I wanted a house. So I said, hey, let's go look at houses. And along the way, a lot of shit just like, they've got to do this, got to do that. And it was anxiety was crazy and nervous. And, every day was just like nerve-wracking. But you figure it out. And you go down the line, and before you know it, boom, you got a house. It's not that things aren't as intricate as people make it out to seem. Doing
Especially when
things,
you have
having
people to
things,
help.
especially when you have people to support you and help you do the things. Yeah. That's my tidbit.
Appreciate it, and that's all she wrote. So appreciate you again for taking the time. Make sure to tell the wifey I said thank you for giving an hour of your time, because I know she'll be appreciative of that.
Of course. I got you.
Yeah,
Hey, y'all wrapping me up here, man. I be watching you upset. I be tapped in. I be listening to y'all on my Spotify. And yeah, y'all be getting into some things, man. Y'all dive deep, especially like emotionally or whatnot. That's why I be having, things to say, but that's why it's hard listening to your boys. But emotionally and just like just having a thought process and like a wrap on perspective, an intricate perspective on things. Y'all got it down. Yeah, I love y'all show.
Appreciate you, man.
Appreciate
Thank
that.
you.
So for anybody that's still watching, thank you for taking the time to go ahead and watch this. And as always, if you're watching on YouTube, thank you. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff. If you're listening to the audio version, don't forget to leave us a review. Let us know the good, the bad, the ugly. Let us know where we can improve to make this show better for you guys. Because ultimately, this show is here for you. We're all surrounded around great people, and we're going to continue to surround ourselves around great people. We want you to be doing the same because we know that it's one of the key things to elevate you and yourself and whoever else is tagging along your journey with you.